The conservative Supreme Court is going to give a massive victory to Trump. All he has to do is get all of his trials delayed, which there's progress on it. And I'll give you a step by step in this article on how Trump is doing exactly that. Welcome to Exile. This is where all the happy people are. Here's our headline: Trump push for incremental delays risks upending the federal trials. Remember, this is a good idea. This is all Trump needs, and he gets a win if he delays, because the Democrats don't want these trials. They don't care for the win. They care to slander him before his election. Trump made headlines with one motion suggesting his May trial in the Mar-a-Lago documents case could be bumped until mid-November 2024 after the election. That's a win. It was a fallback from an earlier position that a Florida judge shouldn't even set a trial date. And in his election interference case, also brought by special counsel Jack Smith, boo, criminal witch hunt Jack Smith. Trump can't say it, so we will. Trump's attorneys initially suggested the trial should be in 2026, but the effort to punt his trials far into the future have overshadowed motions seeking more limited delays that, if successful, could collectively bump the trials beyond election season. And that's the win. Some of Trump's latest motions have been on more technical matters arising before trial. In both the Mar-a-Lago case and his election interference case, he has sought delays under a law that deals with how classified information is shared at trial. Let me explain. It's about the redaction of those classified files that he had access to buried in his Mar-a-Lago estate. They can't just release those to the public, and they have to be careful how they're handled. So they have to be redacted and gone over by lawyers, and it causes delays. So it's going to be very difficult for the prosecution to say, just release the documents and hurry up and get us this trial, when Trump is the one who's on trial for mishandling documents. That is, the court would have to mishandle the document to get it to go on trial on time. Trump's got him. The Justice Department has said the nature of the documents means that if they cannot shield them in some form, quote, the government cannot produce the documents at all, unquote. And they cast Trump's CIPA delay as, quote, a motion that threatens to upend the entire schedule established by the court. And that amounts to a motion to continue the May 20, 2024 trial date. That's good news. Kaddouri dismissed the underlying argument of the motion, but said it's possible the matter could reach the Supreme Court. And that's where things get really good. The closer it gets to the election, the more likely the Supreme Court has to step in and say, this is not the right time for this. Prosecutors said they were asking the judge to force the assertion from Trump, as waiting until the last minute, quote, risks causing substantial disruption and delay, particularly in the case given the number of attorneys involved, they wrote. And whose fault is that? They're the one that involved all the attorneys. He said Trump's incremental approach could hold the most promise in Florida, where the case is currently scheduled for May and displays risk getting into tricky territory. So because it's so late as in May of next year. Quote, once you start to get into August, you're talking about convention season. Once you get into September, you're right around the 60, 90 days right before the election, when the Justice Department is trying not to have an overt influence on the election, unquote, Kaddouri said. They may not have an overt influence, but they know they're having an influence. Quote, at that point, I think judges are going to be thinking about pushing them out until after the election, unquote. Quote, from the beginning, they've been tactically, I think, as clear as can be, the lawyers, in saying that they do not want these trials to happen before the election. That's Trump's team. Quote, and we know the reason why that is, because if Trump can get back into office, these cases are going to be put on ice one way or another by him or by his attorney general. So this is another win for Trump. We'll take it. Thank you guys for joining me here in Exile. Make sure you like and share this video around to your friends. That's how you really help this channel and get the truth out. I'm Doug in Exile.